Warren Buffett, who has a net worth of about $85 billion, is considered one of the most successful investors of all time. His investing style is based on discipline, value and patience, which has helped him amass his $85 billion net worth. It has yielded results that have consistently outperformed the market for decades. You may not have money to invest the way he does. You can still follow one of his ongoing recommendations. Low-cost index funds are the smartest investment most people can make. Hey go-getters, welcome back to The Early Investors, another profitable episode where you can learn how to become financially free. In today's video, we'll be showing you Vanguard index funds investing for beginners. Want to become the next Warren Buffett? Stay with me to find out all the tips and tricks to save your hard-earned simoleons. Before we jump into the video, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more business-related content. So, without further ado, let's get right into the video. First, let me tell you what Vanguard index funds are. Vanguard index funds are a type of mutual fund where investors pool their money together to buy shares in a fund that mimics a certain benchmark. Take this as an example. Imagine there are 5 investors, A1, B1, C1 and D1. These are all regular people like you and me, and they're putting in their money into an index fund and pulling it all together. So these index funds are designed to mimic a benchmark. If you're wondering what a benchmark is an index or an industry, such as the S&P 500. For example, it can be real estate or growth stocks. There are about 62 different Vanguard index funds out there, and they cover up whole different types of investments. An index fund contains hundreds, if not thousands of stocks within one share of that particular index fund. So, suppose A1 wanted to go out on her own and buy one stock in Amazon, one stock in Google, and one stock in Netflix. These are all individual stocks, and they're all somewhat risky. Instead of worrying about these individual stocks, A1 can go to Vanguard's website and buy one share of an index fund that is investing in the total stock market. This way, she can have exposure to the entire stock market. Instead of picking individual stocks and bonds by hand, these indexes fund managers are buying all the stocks and the index or the benchmark that it tracks. As an example, think that VTSAX is the index that A1 bought. That's an actual real Vanguard index fund, and it covers the entire stock market. So, if you invest in VTSAX, you gain exposure to the entire market. Think that MA is interested in real estate. They have an REIT, Real Estate Investment Tracker, or an REIT index, which is known as VGSIX. This is a benchmark that tracks all of the real estate investment trusts that are publicly available. There are some minimum investors with Vanguard index funds. The minimum investment for VGSIX is $3,000 and the minimum investment for VTSAX is $10,000. You can get into ETFs, which are exchange-traded funds. So, what they do is they track pretty much the same thing, but you can get in for a much lower amount. You can actually get in with one share. If you want to buy fractional shares or if you want to invest, you can easily do it with Betterment and M1 Finance, or you can use Vanguard themselves. Now, let's talk about who these index funds are for. All the people we talked about above as examples are just regular people. They are just people who are looking to passively invest. They are looking to match market returns instead of trying to beat them. A1, B1, C1 and D1 are people who live a regular life. They live busy lives with their kids and they have 9-to-5 jobs. They want to enjoy their life, but they don't have the time and energy to spare at midnight and look at overall annual reports to find outliers of individual stocks to outperform the market. Picking individual stocks is very difficult and hard to do. So, what are they doing? Well, they're pooling their money together, having a fund that is passively managed like VGSIX or VTSAX, and they carry on with their regular lives. A study in 2013 showed that for about 80 to 90% of the time, index investing gave its investors more returns and outperformed active investing. When you account for the expense ratios and how much it costs to actually invest in an actively managed mutual fund, a lot of the returns were diminished. Now, let's talk about why Vanguard. Are you wondering why to choose Vanguard index funds when other companies offer index funds to invest in, like Charles Schwab index funds? So, Vanguard is like the 800-pound gorilla in the room. They are the originators of the index fund, which was founded in 1976. John C. Bogle was the creator of Vanguard as well as the index fund. Vanguard is well known for its pioneering work in creating and marketing index mutual funds and ETFs to investors. The best thing about Vanguard is that they have low expense ratios. Their expense ratios, as compared to their competitors, are 73% lower than the industry average. To keep costs low, Vanguard often uses a sampling strategy to construct its index funds using less than the total number of assets in an index. Over the last 10 years, 84% of their mutual funds have performed better than their competitors. Also, there are about $3 trillion invested in Vanguard mutual funds and ETFs. Whew, $3 trillion is definitely a lot of money. So I think it's obvious that they are going to be here for a long time. You also get a big selection to choose from with Vanguard, from their ETFs and index funds. As I already said, you get to choose from 62 index funds. Why invest in index funds? Now let's talk about why to invest in index funds in general. It can be Vanguard or Schwab or any other firm. Active investing is time-consuming and difficult. If we look at our previous examples of A1, B2, C3 and D4, they are all working and don't have ample time to look at annual reports and other stuff to invest in an individual company. It's very time-consuming and difficult work, so this is why index funding is preferred over it. It's also low cost, so the expense ratios are lower compared to actively managed portfolios, and you don't even need a portfolio manager for these. There is a fund manager who updates these selections quarterly or annually or biannually, and they do it easily because they follow that index. They are not actively sitting there to get paid off for their research. A fund's expense ratio, also known as the management expense ratio, includes all operating expenses, such as the payment to advisors and managers, transaction fees, taxes, and accounting fees. Since the index fund managers are simply replicating the performance of a benchmark index, they do not need the services of research analysts and others that assist in the stock selection process. Managers of index funds trade holdings less often, incurring fewer transaction fees and commissions. In contrast, actively managed funds have larger staffs and conduct more transactions, driving up the cost of doing business. The extra costs of fund management are reflected in the fund's expense ratio and get passed on to investors. Index funds are also diversified. Look at VGSIX or VTSAX, for example. You are getting hundreds of shares of stocks within one share of an index fund. You also have lots of different stocks instead of having 1,000 shares of Amazon or Netflix, etc. If you buy lots of shares of a single company, then you are basically in a lot of trouble if that company incurs a loss or so. Index funds are also pretty consistent. They have performed consistently over the last 10 to 15 years. A lot of these index funds are about 15 years old, and they have done well and got their investors great returns. Some of the other popular indexes are Russell 2000, made up of small-cap company stocks. Wilshire 5000 Total Market Index, the largest US equities index. MSCI EAFE, consisting of foreign stocks from Europe, Australasia and the Far East. Barclays Capital US Aggregate Bond Index, which follows the total bond market. Nasdaq Composite, made up of 3,000 stocks listed on the Nasdaq exchange. Dow Jones Industrial Average DJIA, consisting of 30 large cap companies. So folks, I guess that's about it. Well, that's the end, guys. Since you stayed to the end, why not subscribe if you haven't done so already and like the video. Press the bell icon so that you don't miss any of my future videos. Comment down your thoughts on index funds and Vanguard. Until the next time, bye!